Hey everyone, it's me Zach again, and I just wanted to share a little bit about this amazing book cover designed by my friend Virginia de Lastra that will be shipping out to mailboxes near you in the very near future. This book is getting really close to publication. I'm so excited to share it with you. But I wanted to take this brief opportunity to share this cover and some of the symbolism that we built into it. So, one thing that probably stands out right away is the wheelchair. If you know me, you'll know that looks an awful lot like my wheelchair, intentionally, shockingly. Virginia was awesome about recreating my chair. I sent her numerous photos of the back of my chair so that she was able to recreate it on the cover. I thought it was an awesome personal touch. Now, the dog beside the wheelchair is not only cute, but we are talking about disability, and I talk a lot about accommodations in this work. And so, one thing that I think stands out is service animals are an obvious and popular, well known accommodation. I don't specifically talk about service animals all that much, but it is a nice visual representation of that theme that runs throughout my book. Now, the person and the dog are both looking at the star. I want this book to be hopeful, and I tried really hard to make it encouraging and hopeful. Because some of you out there might be wrestling with how can there possibly be a God if myself or someone I love is struggling to accept their disability? How can there possibly be a God who allows this to happen? Now, I know some people are very conflicted over this issue, and I want this book to be a beacon of hope. I want this book to be something that you can look to and say, I don't need to surrender my Christian faith. It's very possible for God to exist and for disability to exist in the world. I don't have to surrender my Christian faith because of disability. Because I know there are people who have walked away from the faith because of this. And I, that's sad because they're walking away from God, who is the fulfillment of all our desires. And so I'm really trying to orient people towards the light through this book. I try not to be overly preachy in the book, but I certainly am trying to show that you do not need to give up your Christian faith because of the existence of disability. You do not need to surrender your faith. You do not need to walk away from God because of the existence of disability in your life or in the lives of others. Now, there's some symbolism here with the window beyond the fact that it's aesthetically pleasing because I I really like the window. I think it frames the image nicely. But I just pointed out that there are people who struggle with this issue. Now, personally, I'm pretty okay most of the time with my disability, right? I've accepted it and I am pretty okay with it. But I know that for some people, disability can kind of feel like that tunnel from where you are and where you want to be, right? It interferes with that process, and it's something that you have to work your way through to get to where you want to be. So I thought, and this is more in hindsight, this wasn't an intentional thought by me up front. I haven't asked Virginia if it was intentional on her part, but as I look at it now and I reflect on that window, it makes me think that there is a journey that some people have to take, right? And that we all take in some degree when we wrestle with disability. So I think, there's that where we are and where we want to be, and we want to be, hopefully, nearer to that light, but we might not always know how to get there, or might be nervous about going that way, or might, just be upset and not want to go that way. And so I hope that, that window, I hope to help you through that journey, through that thought process. This is a philosophical work, so it certainly wrestles with these topics, not so much in a pastoral sense, but more of a here's why it is quite reasonable to believe in God even with the existence of disability in the world, when some people are so quick to write off God. You hear sometimes online, right? Why doesn't God heal amputees, right? And it's like, boom, God disproved. Not so fast. I hope to walk with you through that process philosophically to help you come to a better foundation that's a lot better than why doesn't God heal amputees. I hope to get you to a much better philosophical place than that. Um, but again, that's kind of that window from where you are and hopefully where you want to be or where hopefully I can help bring you. Finally, the trees and the lampposts. The lampposts have a very Narnian feel. I I like Narnia. What can I say? Um, but I think there's also that very real connection to the world here because when we talk about disability and the problem of evil, it's not just disability is like the only manifestation of where we see, oh, this is like the only thing that's wrong with the world. Far from it, right? And arguably, I think that you can quite easily say that there are much bigger problems in the world than disability. So I think that when we kind of add that perspective of the world outside, this book certainly doesn't only apply to disability. So I obviously framed it in that way. It's something I care about. It's a community I'm a part of. It's where my heart lies. But I hope that it becomes clear that disability is certainly something important to talk about. At the same time, the problem of evil is a whole world problem in a variety of ways and in a variety of manifestations. In fact, when you hit near the end of my book, I don't even necessarily frame disability as evil, but rather a consequence of evil. And you'll have to read the chapter by the book to unpack that more so. But I think having that connection built into this image of not just disability, not just looking towards God, but also the world that's around us, that also is a part of this entire kind of intellectual wrestling that we do with the problem of evil, is very important. Well, I mean, that's about the features of my cover. I hope this was at least a little bit interesting to you, and I hope that in the very near future you will consider purchasing a copy of my book. It should be coming out very soon. It is in the final stages of typesetting, fixing a few minor details here and there, but it is just about ready to come out. I'm so excited about it, and I really hope that, like I said, I hope that it's an encouragement to you. I hope that, if disability impacts your life directly, or impacts the life of someone that you love, or maybe you're in the church and you want to learn how to minister to individuals who might be wrestling with these issues, maybe not in your immediate family or yourself, but people oftentimes talk about the disability community as the largest minority, and also the disability community is the only minority group that you can become a member of at any time. Anyone can become disabled at any time. And so it's a very pertinent issue to surely many people that you know, even if it's not your personal life or your family or your immediate inner circle. Certainly, it is an important issue for many people around you. So I think there's a lot of relevance here, and I hope that you will read it, consider these thoughts, and think about how you can help people, again, walk through this window, walk through this tunnel, draw nearer to the light. So there'll be more coming out in the near future, obviously, as we launch. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and until then, have a great one, everyone.